Carlos, Kentucky Ranger. There's Mama.
Hi.
And family. Carlos is back here behind with me.
She's knitting.
And Cherie. Yeah, she's a knitting.
And Junebug, I don't think
and
so.
Junebug.
Junebug.
Yeah, Junebug's in her lap. Yeah, I can see her. Junebug. Junebug, lift your head up. There you go. There's Junebug.
Say hi. Hi, everybody.
Anyhow, well, my interview, it got rained out. So that'll have to be for another day. But that's okay, because guess what? We get to sample some of Cherie's cooking. And she's going to tell us, what's it called? Oliebollen? Oliebollen?
They used to make fun of me, call them Oliebollen.
Oliebollen? Woolly buggers?
They're called Oliebollen.
Oliebollen.
Which is Dutch. They're Dutch donuts, and the actual translation of that, my mother-in-law told me, is called oily balls.
Olieball, yeah. That's the part that cracked me up.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I can touch it.
Yeah, I think I mentioned in previous video that my original mother-in-law.
At least she didn't call them greasy balls.
Well.
Carla.
Carla.
Hey, look, I said greasy balls. I didn't say nothing else.
The best thing about my wife is her oily balls. That just sounds not right.
Hey, oily balls is oily balls.
That's
Depending on how you take it. PG or R. Mine was PG steak.
This needs to be G-rated.
Yeah, this is going in the toilet.
It was.
I mentioned before that my first husband is from Holland, and his mother-in-law, I married him in '79, she taught me how to make oliebollen. The Dutch people eat these on New Year's. That's like a good luck thing. And we used to go to the Dutch club every year for New Year's parties, and they always serve oliebollen there. But they're really good.
Stop. It's funny because Germans, you have to eat sauerkraut for New Year's.
Good luck, yeah.
For good luck.
Yeah.
Which I could eat sauerkraut. I don't think I eat it every day, but I love sauerkraut.
We'll have some kraut dogs.
Oh yeah.
I'll keep away from you at night.
Bratwurst and sauerkraut. Yummy, yummy.
They're good.
So anyhow, we're going to zip into the kitchen and see how this is all made. So, by the power and magic of teleportation and video editing, here we go. Here we are in the kitchen. So, take her away.
Excuse my mess. This is a really small kitchen, and there's not a whole lot of counter space. But anyway, like I said before, my mother-in-law taught me how to make these back in the 70s, and I made them for years, and I used my own recipe, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to use an actual oliebollen recipe that I found on the internet several years ago.
Awesome.
And I actually used this recipe one time.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty good. There's only one thing in this recipe that I'm going to address that I did not like.
Yeah.
Because I've made bread a lot through the years. But anyway, the first thing I'm going to do is heat just regular vegetable oil in the steep fryer.
Yeah, you can use vegetable or you can use canola.
Now I'll tell you something I used to use. Before years ago, I didn't use deep fryer.
Yeah.
I used an 8-quart saucepan. And one time I made these and I used butter flavored Crisco when I melted it.
Yeah.
And deep fried them in that. Oh, you talk about good.
Well.
It's butter flavored Crisco, but I'm going to use vegetable oil. It's easier.
So we don't get butter flavored Crisco?
No.
One thing about it, if you're going to heat it in a big pan like that on a stove, man, be careful. Be extremely careful. What are you doing?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I'm going to get this going while I'm doing the rest of this stuff.
Pretty cool little beef fryer.
See. I've got that set on $3.75. I might go somewhere between $3.40 and $3.75. Because if you get it too hot, they'll cook too quick on the outside.
They'll be raw in the middle.
Now the first thing I'm going to do, I've got 1.5 cups of milk in this bowl. Out of the 1.5 cups of milk that you got is where you get your 3 tablespoons of milk. So what you want to do is use 3 tablespoons of milk and warm it about 30 seconds or something. Get it lukewarm in the microwave to dissolve your yeast in it. So I'll have to come pry behind you here.
I'm sure people don't. Well, I'll show you. Microwave shot. It's an action shot.
Now I'll tell you, you can either use the active dry yeast, or I'll tell you what I used to use all the time when I'd make bread is those cake yeasts that you can get in the dairy department. And I know they still sell them.
Oh yeah.
And actually I like using it better, but I already had some active dry yeast. But those cake yeasts makes bread really good.
Cool.
When this gets warm, I'm going to melt that yeast in that milk. Yeah, that's about right. Okay. That's about 30 seconds in the microwave, and you want to dissolve your yeast in it. Excuse my mess in the kitchen. I'm not organized tonight. Okay. Now I'm going to set this aside. So, let that do its thing. So anyway, in your other bowl, you want to add your flour. So it takes 3 cups of all-purpose flour.
All-purpose, is that self-rising or is it?
That's just regular
I want to get
flour
that straight.
because you're using the yeast.
Because of the yeast.
Yeah.
I don't know, could you substitute and just use self-rising or?
You probably could. I've never used self-rising for this.
Yeah.
But you
don't
can just
know.
play
I don't know
with
if
it
that
and
would-
try it.
Yeah, it would probably work. I don't know.
Because what I used to do, like I said, I never used a recipe. I mean, an Oliebollen recipe. What I used to do is I used to make my regular white bread recipe, yeast bread recipe, and make these, doing that.
Okay.
And that's why I've never used self-rising flour for it. Okay, so then what you want to do, you want to stir in 2 eggs. I decided this time to just do it as we go.
Start to finish.
Yeah. Okay, you want to stir in the eggs and the remaining milk. And it says you want to beat it with a wooden spoon. I never used to use a wooden spoon. For the recipe's sake, I'll use a wooden spoon.
Gotta be traditional.
Yeah.
You wearing your wooden shoes?
Yeah.
No wooden
I got
shoes.
my sneakers on.
I've never wore wood shoes, but I've heard they're comfortable. I don't see how they can be, but
No.
I don't know.
The only Dutch people I was around, they had wooden shoes, but they were hanging on the wall.
Yeah, they're more of a decorative thing. Yeah, I just can't see how a
Now,
wooden shoe would be very comfortable.
you want
I
to
don't-
stir this until it's smooth. And if
I was gonna
you
say it
need
probably
some-
needs just a shot of milk.
yeah, it's just like when I used to make bread. I'd
Yeah, you
either
have
have to not add as much or add It's just, you know, when you've
Well,
made bread a lot, you learn.
Yeah, well, it's much better to add not enough, because if you add too much, you can't really go back.
But basically what you're doing is just like if you were to make bread and you start adding all your wet ingredients with your dry.
Yeah.
And it's just before you take the bread out to knead it, where you make it into a stiff dough.
Right.
That's basically what you're doing with this. Okay, now, when you get that like that, I don't know if they can see that.
Yeah, just kind of a bread dough consistency.
Yeah, I kind of make
Not
a little
runny. You don't want it runny.
little well like that.
Runny.
And you want to add your raisins and your yeast. So in this recipe, it actually calls for 4 tablespoons of raisins.
Right.
It says on here, raisins, apples, or currants. I've always used raisins in this.
Ooh, what about apples?
And,
I've never had it with an apple.
I've heard that it's really good with apples. I've never tried it.
You ain't got no apples?
No.
Oh.
But I just guess at this. I always did just guess at this.
Yeah. Yeah, you just put a big old gob in there.
That's about, what did I say?
Add one more. Just one more
4
gob. Not a little
4
crazy.
tablespoons.
I mean, you don't want to really overdo it.
No.
Still, you want a bit of
And,
raisins in there. So there
You
go.
add 2 tablespoons of sugar. Let me rinse this off and dry it real quick. So what I used to do, you can use any bread recipe that you want, and when you start to mix it up to the stiff dough part,
Right.
that's when you start adding your raisins and stuff. But you don't want to take the bread out and knead it before you let it rise, because
Right.
if you do that, when you fry these, they will
They
not,
won't. Yeah, they
because the dough becomes elastic on the
Yeah.
outside, that elasticity, and it won't cook on the inside.
won't. Right.
So you can use any bread recipe, just do it like you're doing here, and just don't knead it.
There's no need to knead.
Nope. So you want to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. Put this up. This kitchen, I believe, is about the smallest kitchen I've ever seen. And
Yeah.
you want to,
The official term for a kitchen like this is galley kitchen.
and you want to add your
Crazy.
yeast, and then mix all that together. Now you can see that's getting to be like a stiff dough
Yeah.
consistency. Especially when because that's why I didn't add much extra milk, because I knew when I added that yeast that would make it more liquid too.
Yeah.
But that's about right. You can see that. So what you want to do when you do all of this, you cover with a cloth and let it rise for about 1.5 hours.
Okay.
So we'll have to come back.
Definitely have to come back for that. I don't think anybody wants to sit here and watch bread rise.
Now I'll tell you what I used to do when I used to use a regular bread recipe. I would mix the dough, and then I would roll it from the messy bowl
Yeah.
and put it in a clean bowl, and then cover it and let it rise
Yeah.
in a really warm place. You can either put your oven on warm and get it warm and then turn it off,
Right.
put it in the oven, or sometimes you can put it in a microwave or somewhere really warm where it'll double in size. Okay. So we'll let that rise, and then we'll come back and fry some oliebollen. Oh, before I come off of here, I was going to mention something.
Right.
In this recipe, and I'm sure Kentucky will put this on there,
Oh yeah.
this recipe says 1.5 packages of yeast.
Right.
Do not do that. I mean, if you're like a really big yeast lover, be my guest.
Yeah.
But the very first time I actually used this recipe,
Uh-huh.
I've never used 1.5 packages of yeast for bread ever. So I thought, well, that seems like a lot of yeast. So I thought, well, I'll just follow the recipe and see. It was horrible.
Oh.
It was so yeasty.
Yeah.
So do not use 1.5 packages of yeast unless
Okay.
you really like yeast.
Yeah, you really like that flavor.
Yeah, it was awful.
Okay.
One's plenty.
Alrighty. So now, are you going to cover that, or are you just going to let it sit?
I'm going to cover it, and I'll probably put it in the microwave. Be a good place. Well, I'll use paper towel.
Raise, go, raise.
Yeah, I'll just cover it and put it in the microwave. That'll be good enough, and we'll let it rise for about 1.5 hours.
Okay. Into the microwave. So, we shall see you all in about 90 minutes.
Yep.
All right.
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
All righty. Well, here we are. 90 minutes later. And there it is.
Oops.
Swear I'm going to keep kicking that.
I moved that to a warm oven to let it rise because the inside of the microwave wasn't warm enough.
It wasn't quite warm enough.
So I've had this this oil heating up.
Woo. Whoops.
For a few minutes. I had turned it off. I turned it back on a few minutes ago and let it heat up. So now what you want to do is just take these after your dough rises. You just want to take them by spoonfuls and put in your deep fryer or your 8-quart saucepan if you don't have a deep fryer. It's kind of sticky. I washed my hands, y'all. I usually fry about 4 of them at a time. Like I said before, this kitchen is small.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to put that down, and we want to fry those until they're golden brown on the outside. I've had that heating up between almost 375. You might want to play with your heat. You don't want them to cook too fast or they'll be doughy on the inside. And sometimes I'll open it up and take a spoon and break them away from that basket.
Yeah.
They have a tendency to want to stick to that basket, yeah, in these deep fryers. I never had that problem with when I used a regular saucepan.
Yeah, I've never had one with a lid like that. It seems like you'd want to keep poking them around to get them in the oil. You just let them sit and do their thing.
Yeah, I'll open it a few times and poke them around because I can't see through that window.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they can see that.
Oh, yeah.
See
Yeah,
how
you just leave the lid open.
Yeah, I might just leave the lid open. The oil cools off a little bit, but at least you can see. See, I never had this problem. They stick pretty bad to this. I never had that problem.
That's weird because you think the basket's in that oil, they wouldn't stick.
I know it.
That's weird.
Anyway, I think I'll just leave for the sake of the video. I'll just leave that open so they can see what they're doing. It just takes a few minutes. It don't take very long at all. Like I said before, you can use any yeast bread recipe you want to do this. Just make sure that when you mix your dough to the stiff dough, just don't take it out and knead it. Because the very first time I ever made these, I did that, and that was a mistake.
Yeah, because then you take out, what you call it. So I don't think, well, even bread dough, when you let it rise, you're not supposed to do anything to it, are you? Well, yeah, I guess you do. You knead it, don't you?
Well, what you do with bread is when you get it to when you mix it to get it to a stiff dough,
Yeah.
you turn it out on a floured surface and you knead it
Oh, that's right.
to get it elastic. Then you put it back in the bowl and let it rise.
Let it rise again.
Yeah, and that's how I
okay.
did it the first time I made these. But what I had done, I had put the raisins in it when I got it to this consistency.
Yeah.
Then I turned it out and I kneaded it like I would bread and then let it rise. And I found out when I did that, the dough don't get done on the inside when you fry them. So get it right up to the point where you would knead it, and then just maybe transfer it to a clean bowl and put it in a warm place and let it rise.
Yeah,
And they work perfect that
I think
way.
the first time you let it do that, isn't that what they call resting it? And then the actual, after you knead it, it's called rising or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a
Since I
cook.
got that open, I'm gonna turn that up.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure you cook them all the way through, because ain't nothing like raw dough. So what was you saying, that is it like a tradition or something?
It's a Dutch tradition that they eat these on New Year's Eve
Yeah.
to bring them good luck.
Oh, okay.
I'm not for sure what the history is behind that,
Well,
but that was just what my mother-in-law told me.
yeah.
And then when I went to that, it was actually a German and a Dutch club. It was two separate clubs, but they both used the same building.
Wow.
So on New Year's Eve, they would have this big New Year's party,
Yeah.
and the Dutch club and the German club both came together and held one big party. And one of the things that they served at the concession was these Oliebollen.
Wow.
They were really good too. When they start to brown, I usually turn them around
Yeah.
so they don't get too hard. You just want them golden brown. You don't want them like really. That size right there is about what you want them. Because if you get them too big, they won't get done either.
Right. Plus, there's a sweet. If you get a great big one, you probably make you sick.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you get these out, you sprinkle them with powdered sugar, right?
Mm-hmm. I've got my powdered sugar ready.
Smells good.
They're almost done.
It's gonna really take probably what, 3-4 minutes?
Yeah, something like that. Right now I've got that heat turned up to 375. That's because I've got the lid open. It's not like using regular
Right.
saucepan with oil in it.
Yeah, like I said
They would have
before.
done. They would have already been done if I'd have put that lid down.
Right. You know, like I was saying before, though, if you use a regular saucepan on a stove to cook like that, you be very, very careful.
Yeah, extremely careful. I used to check. Well, I never would leave it. Always
Yeah.
kept watching it and adjusting the heat. That's about how. Let's see. That's about how brown you want them right there. Then I've lined this bowl with paper towel, kind of catch the oil. The oil.
Oh, Earl.
And then you just, I just use a sifter and I sprinkle them with lots of powdered sugar. You might want to use that for your thumbnail, I don't know.
Yeah, let me get it there.
Let me get this out of the way. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, like that with raisins in the background. Ka-ching! That'd be cool. Now, Mr. Eclectic, he was wanting to see my reaction when I eat, so I'm gonna hand the camera over to her, and you're gonna point it to me, and I'm gonna eat one. And
They're hot, so
yeah, I'll
be
be careful.
careful.
Anyhow, turn the camera around.
Oh, get Karla in
Uh-oh,
here to
here
try
we go.
one.
Come on, we'll both try.
Come in here, Mama.
They're
It's
hot.
supposed to be Mondays with Mama.
There you go. Oh, yeah, what's...
Poor Kentucky Ranger, I don't think his light's gonna survive tonight.
Bright light, E.T., bright light.
Hold on, Mama's coming.
Want to get a fork?
Get on in here, Mama.
You might need a fork, they're hot.
Yeah, let me...
Jimbo.
Mama want a fork.
Maybe divvy him up here. Now let me...
Where's
The
Jimbo?
communal fork.
Yeah, she's waiting for hers.
Bumbo.
That way we'll just kind of get a little sample of them cool for a minute. Because, yeah, they are very hot.
She's like, I'm hot.
Anyhow, you get a close-up. Here's
Blow
what they look
on
like
it, baby.
inside. Just nice and fluffy. Can you see that? Is the camera picking it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Blow on it, baby.
Yeah, they're
Mama
very
want one.
hot.
Blow on it,
Anyhow,
baby.
here, that's your piece.
Tell me your honest opinion.
Blow on it, baby.
Because
Yeah,
this
well,
is
they're
an
not
actual
mol-
Oliebollen
yeah, they're
recipe.
not
It's not the
lava hot.
recipe I usually use, but
Oh, you got your own? She didn't waste any time. I didn't even see you grab that. What?
Blow on it. They're good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow.
Hot, baby, hot. Blow
Oh,
on it.
yeah. So hot.
good, ain't they?
They're so good.
I love raisins.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Look like we've been doing coke with all this white powder on us.
I don't make them that much because I can't just eat one.
There you go, make a bunch.
Those
They're
are
good. What do you think, Mama?
Mm-hmm. Good.
Fantastic, sissy.
Thank
Tell
you.
the television audience.
It's good.
Here, bye. I bit off of it.
Good and fattening.
Bye-bye.
Well, anything good's gonna be fattening.
Of course.
Or,
Gotta get some more of that sugar on there.
yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna pay for this later, but that's okay. Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh,
Is that sugar I see or just a? Oh, that's a pattern. I thought that was sugar you had on.
Boy, I've been dipping in it, ain't I?
anyhow, I guess we'll end this here. One thing, today we found out that Rosie H. passed away Tuesday.
Oh,
Our deepest condolences
So,
to the family.
deepest condolences. She had double pneumonia. She's been fighting it for, good Lord, what, 2 months now?
bless her heart.
Yeah, and it just was too much for her. So, definite prayers go out to her. And I hope y'all enjoyed this recipe. It's easy to make. It's really good. And,
Want another bite?
Over.
Bite. I ain't got cooties. Bite. Don't you wish you had some? It's good.
Don't you wish your bullies were like mine?
I don't like anything overpowering in my recipes.
That's good.
It's not that it would ruin it, but it's pretty strong.
Being
Mama must like them.
rude.
You're not rude, you're
Anyhow,
hungry.
continued prayers for everybody.
There's
Yeah.
no raisins in
And,
this one.
Oh, yeah, gypped. And like I say, definite condolences for Rosie and her family.
Yes, deepest condolences.
And
Much love to their family.
much love. So anyhow, God bless y'all, and we'll see you next Monday, whatever's gonna happen. Probably
Bye,
snack
everybody.
or the
Yeah.
Universally Young,
Is that next week?
I think.
Okay.
I think it's on its way. So anyhow, God bless y'all, and we'll see y'all later.
Much love.
Much love. Bye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas. And
Well, that'll
Happy
be next
New
week.
Year.
Next week, I think it's
We
probably
can still say it though.
last Monday before Christmas. I don't know. Time's going too fast.
Yeah, I know it.
Anyhow, God bless. See y'all. Take
Love
care.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye bye.